Welcome to Icons of the Dragon Ball community as we celebrate 30 years of Dragon Ball being on television. February 26, 1986 is when Dragon Ball started, and today we celebrate its history and we talk to some of the icons that made it so popular and who, of course, love the series. And joining me on this edition is a man whom, when YouTube was rebooted back in the yesteryear, there was a man who was born inside, and he kind of paved the way for a lot of us. Like him or hate him, it doesn't matter how you feel. He kind of was the first of us, and as a result of him being like the first of us, or at least the first of us that blew up, he is an icon. Please welcome Alex, otherwise known as UnrealENTGaming.
Wow, Geekdom. All I have to say right now is that was a fantastic intro. Again, it is an honor on being here. I saw your previous interview with Dino Rhymestyle. Just being considered and quote unquote icon in the Dragon Ball community is just something very meaningful to me, because it is something that I've grown up on my entire life, and for you to have me on here so we can just talk about one of our favorite shows in our entirety is just very meaningful to me. So thank you for having me on here.
No problem, man. And like I said, no matter what people's opinions are of you and your content, you have been here first. And 2015, I want to talk about that too. 2015 was a crazy year because it really was it was the renaissance of Dragon Ball, but also it was the renaissance of Dragon Ball on YouTube because, and I'm not just talking about myself, there were literally tons and tons of new Dragon Ball YouTubers that came out of nowhere because
Absolutely.
of Xenoverse, Battle of Gods, and Super. Like, there was me, of course. There was Dragon Ball Nation got a big push during this year. It was literally like the Attitude Era of YouTubers, right? All these guys. Junior Saiyan, It's Over 9,000 Productions, Dr. Blick, Dr. Love. They're probably all happy I'm giving them shout outs. Platinum TDX. They were around, but they kind of really got more exposure this year. And of course, because Dragon Ball blew up. But before all of that, even before Rhyme Style, you were doing the I guess you can call them like I don't know if they're breaking news. You were kind of doing the hotline style Dragon Ball videos. You weren't really like a power level guy like Vegito 1089, who was also around back then. You were mostly focused on like kind of giving the news and then your opinions and stuff. And also, you were the first one, and this is a formula that's been talked about and replicated by everybody. And that's why you kind of are a pioneer. No matter what you are, nobody can take away from you. The whole like putting game footage in the video and talking over it, which of course it fits for you because you're Unreal Entertainment or ENT Gaming, so it makes sense to do that. But also, and I don't even know if you even realized it when you were doing it, you did a very good thing because you avoided copyright issues as a result of that, because putting the actual footage from the series is a dangerous thing, especially back then. Now YouTube's a little more understanding of it, but back then you put up like a 10-second clip of Dragon Ball Z and Toei would, desecrate you.
Absolutely, and I do want to thank you for that. But again, it was even before that, back in 2012 when I first started my channel. I remember, because I've been on YouTube since 2006. I'll be honest, and I know a lot of people don't know about this, but
I didn't know that.
My very first channel ever, it was a wrestling channel. And the reason why I even began a YouTube channel to begin with was because when I stumbled upon the site, I came across a video where, and it's really ironic here, it has nothing to do with Dragon Ball, but it was a video by someone who was pretty much, talking about TNA wrestling, and he was bashing WWE, and I was just like, well, I want to share my opinion on this too, and I want to go on ahead and make a response. So I made a channel called WWE Rule 5, and I went on ahead and made videos, and I was just, kind of like goofing around on there, sharing my opinions and thoughts on stuff. And then over the years, I went on to my gaming channel, Alex Animal 7. I was just goofing around with friends on there with on the Xbox 360 playing Halo and stuff. It was nothing really major until 2012. So in 2012, I decided to make a brand new channel because I was doing all these things, but yet I wasn't enjoying them on my previous channels. So I decided to make a channel again, which was Unreal ENT Gaming. And the reason, of the whole Unreal ENT Gaming concept was because, number one, the Unreal aspect was I loved the Unreal gaming engine, and that was something that I thought at the time, every single time I would see like new game trailers and stuff and new clips of these new games that were running on the Unreal engine, they looked so amazing. So I decided to take that name. The entertainment part is because I love to entertain people, and the gaming because I have a passion for gaming. So I made that channel, and one of the very first videos that I made actually was Call of Duty and Dragon Ball. Like I've always wondered certain things, especially when I was in school and stuff. But it's always kind of awkward to go up to people in school and be like, "Hey, so like, what did you guys think of like this and this? Like, or like, what do you guys think of what would happen if Majin Vegeta fought this guy or that guy?" So I kind of started doing what if battles and stuff, just kind of sharing my opinion, and then just asking people for their opinions and stuff. So and then from there, I came across a concept, a title called Battle of Gods, and at the time I didn't really know much of what was going on until I started reading non-credible sites, and I started picking up a little bit, and I was like, wait a minute, there's a new Dragon Ball movie coming out. I think that everybody should know about this because like throughout the entirety of coming up and making a new channel and stuff, I've always wanted to see a new series and stuff. And I honestly, even telling you, speaking to this like right now, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined for there to be a new series in 2015, let alone at all, because coming off of GT, the backlash, people just resented the series and whatnot. So I was always kind of the one, and especially once I heard that Battle of Gods was coming out, I wanted to push that so much because I always have like this mentality to where if people are talking about a certain thing and it's being mentioned a lot and it's being shared and people are just kind of supporting it and just getting the word out there, I feel as if companies see that and essentially over a course of time, if it gets popular enough, they capitalize on it and they can either give you what they want. Like for example, like the Oculus Rift, like when the Oculus Rift was coming up, people were talking about it and it got so much so many people talking and so much buzz that companies like Facebook and all sorts of companies were buying it out, trying to make it popular, and here we are today. So all I wanted to do with Dragon Ball, especially with Dragon Ball Battle of Gods, was try to push it out there as much as possible, because you'd be surprised on how many people either A, forgot about Dragon Ball, or B, just don't care anymore. So as you said, 2015 was such a huge growth because that was like the renaissance of Dragon Ball, because people not only got back into it, but like we had new faces come along, and that's always an awesome thing for like both the franchise, the company, and the series.
No, definitely. And even before that, even before Battle of Gods, I remember you were doing videos on YouTube. You were doing like versus battles and like Super Bujanemba, things like that from the the old games. You still do them once in a while, but I remember you were doing those, and I remember like guys like Rhymestyle did a few of those as well, and it really. It's the thing about YouTube that I've learned is that YouTube really is a young man's game, in that in order to stay relevant on YouTube, you have to either understand the generation or you have to surround yourself with people who are of that age bracket or of that generation. So I spend a lot of my time, so I'm a little bit older, I spend a lot of my time talking to some of the younger guys on YouTube so that I can kind of learn what's hot. And if it wasn't for them educating me on One Punch Man, I would probably never know. Plus Herms from KANZENSHUU would always put it over. And now I'm watching One Punch Man, I'm loving it. So watching your videos, you kind of, the thing about you that I've learned, is that you're a very intelligent man in the sense that you are very much you definitely have your finger on the pulse of what a certain demographic want. And the reality is that Dragon Ball fans, somebody like me, I love the series and I love the games, but I couldn't go on YouTube and just watch versus battles. It just wasn't me. But there's a whole generation of younger people who love watching them, and when you tap into that, like, it's a smart thing. And I remember you did a video, what if story, SS3 Vegeta versus Kid Buu from Raging Blast 2. And it's interesting because it was a very simple what if. It was like 2 minutes long. It wasn't like the QAAMAN ones where he puts out these long ass scripts. I mean, you haven't seen one yet, but me and Quinn talked about it the other day, and he does these extremely like complex scripts because he wants to make sure if he does a what if.
Quinn is awesome. Quinn is awesome.
No, I'm putting him over. I'm just saying that your what if was kind of more like a what if, and you just kind of winged it. You called it in the ring. There you go. You called it in the ring. Yeah, right. Whereas Quinn will like do these long ass, complex, where he has to make sure there's no holes in his theory, which is good. I respect that. And I remember, but you were doing a lot of what ifs. You were doing a lot of what ifs before a lot of people were, right? And just talking about kind of the things that you did first, and a lot of Modern Warfare. And a lot of burying the Resident Evil movies, which that was the first video. Look, it wasn't that long ago, but the video you did where it's just you on camera burying the Resident Evil movies. That's when I saw that video, I was like, okay, I agree with everything this guy said. And it's funny because I remember Quinn actually told me, he says, I used to watch Unreal Entertainment Gaming. That's what he calls you, because we usually say the word entertainment instead of just ENT. He says,
Yes,
I used
yes.
to watch Unreal for the Slender Man
Oh.
videos. Yeah, not the Dragon Ball videos, which is, but you've kind of become known for Dragon Ball. Um, I guess because at one point you had kind of decided, maybe you kind of had foresight in that when like you said a minute ago, when Battle of Gods was announced, maybe you kind of had the foresight that it was going to be a big deal again. Like, is that kind of what it was?
It was because I figured it was going to be one of the first of many movies to come. Because I always felt like, all right, well, when I first heard about it, when I first saw it, I didn't believe it. I swear to you, I did not believe it because when I
Well,
saw the first
well,
poster and whatnot.
there were a lot of fake news back then
No,
too. That's
absolutely,
why,
absolutely.
yeah.
And when I came across this, I thought to myself, like, why now? Like, it's kind of weird because, you know, GT happened so long ago and the series has been down the ground. I mean, all we truly had as a community was to go off of fan-made mangas like Dragon Ball AF, and we had all sorts of different stuff, but obviously wasn't canon. It wasn't created by Akira Toriyama. So all we can really do is just create our own, you know, little fantasy stories here and there. But then when Battle of Gods got announced, I was like, holy shit, like this could be a window of opportunity because if the series does really well, if the movie does really really good, this could open up doors to a potential sequel or maybe a series or who knows. But all I know is that I figured if the movie did good, these companies would see that, hey, people actually still give a shit. You know, people actually still care. So why don't we create another movie or why don't we do something else for a change? And all we really had at the time was just new games like Raging Blast and Burst Limit and stuff. But no movies, no shows, nothing. It was dry. It was a very dry period for Dragon Ball. And then when that came out, I was like, all right, well, if I can at least get a few people talking about this, maybe maybe like the movie itself would make enough money to where the companies would look at that and go, all right, well, it's seeing profit. Maybe we can do something off this. And I never would have thought in my wildest dreams that like it doing so good that it actually spawned Resurrection F and then Xenoverse and all these other things coming. It's crazy. And what's also mind blowing to know is the fact that you saw WrestleMania, Ronda Rousey, a
Oh,
world
with that
famous
shirt.
MMA fighter next to The Rock,
Yep.
and she had a Vegeta shirt. Like, if that doesn't tell you, how far Dragon Ball has come, then I don't know what else to say because, like, literally, you have Chris Brown who has a tattoo, I believe, of Goku on his calf somewhere around there. You have multiple celebrities, big time celebrities and artists and stuff who showcase love and support for the series, and it's pretty mind blowing because again, I believe it kicked off with Battle of Gods because when word to mouth got around and people were sharing it and people were just like talking like, hey, look, Dragon Ball's coming back. Some people were, against it. They're like, oh, it's fake and stuff. But then most people were just like, all right, let's see how it goes. And then when it came out, many people liked it. And it did generate a lot of money. So that's good for the companies. And then that spawned, what we have today.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Battle of Gods began the trigger to get Toriyama passionate. He did Jocko. Yeah, that's no without a question, a fact. Now you were doing the what if battles, and then I remember, a lot of guys like Kagi were coming along, and they were doing like gaming mods, and it's really become like a big thing. And again, I'm not entirely sure if you were the first one to do it, but you were the first one that I had discovered that was doing that kind of stuff. Now, of all of the quote Dragon Ball YouTubers, see the thing is that I don't consider you really a Dragon Ball YouTuber, even though you kind of are. It's weird. Like, I don't think your intention was ever to be just Dragon Ball because you have a lot of variety on your channel, but you've kind of been categorized as a Dragon Ball guy because I guess there's a lot of Dragon Ball, and it's whatever. We can't really do anything about that. But you were the first of the Dragon Ball YouTubers to hit 100,000 subs, and my question to you is, when did you, like, I don't know, you don't seem like the kind of guy who focuses too much on analytics and things like that. Some of the YouTubers that I work with are really, really into reading analytics, studying them. I kind of am sometimes, but I don't do it too much. It gives me a headache. But you never seem like the kind of guy who did that stuff. But my question is, when did you really realize that the Unreal channel, the first one, not the other ones that you did, the main one, when did you realize that thing was really blowing up? Like, do you remember what caused it and what your thoughts were back then?
Well, honest to God, man, I didn't even assume, nor did I ever think that I was going to reach past like 50 subscribers, man. Like, I'm telling you, like, all I wanted to do was like make as many videos as possible and just share my side of things because like I've always wanted to like showcase my point of view on a battle or maybe a gameplay, because maybe I'm playing a game and I might encounter or do something that someone hasn't seen before, and I would like to showcase that and stuff. So I really I really don't like I wouldn't say I don't really care about numbers, but what triggered it obviously was Battle of Gods, and that made me really happy because I believe there was one no there was about two or three videos. They really got a lot of views and stuff, and what I really cared about most was the more views that video got or videos got, the more exposure I believe the entirety of the title got, like meaning Dragon Ball and stuff. So I figured, all right, if more people are talking about Dragon Ball, that's essentially going to benefit us, the fans, because these companies are going to see this and they're going to say, okay, our movie, we see profit. People are obviously investing in what we have to offer. So because at the end of the day, I mean, if you really think about simplistic things here, these companies, all they truly care about is our bottom dollar. I mean, that's how it is working for a major corporation such as Funimation, Toei, whatever. Like these companies, these movie productions, like all these places, like these corporate execs, all they really care about is our bottom dollar. So we as consumers, we want to see more, we want to see more product placement. We want to see more, movies and games, because we're willing to pay our, money for it and whatnot and enjoy it. And in exchange, we get what we want, they get what they want. So I was just like, all right, well, hopefully this gets enough word to mouth that maybe if the movie does good, we get to see more, because all I really wanted was a new series, because after GT ended, I was so focused on like what was after that, and I came across Dragon Ball AF and I was reading more into that, and I was like, wow, like how cool would it be if that actually happened? Even though some of it made no sense, I was just like, it's pretty cool to know like someone else's perspective on things. Like he was creating like his own versions of Saiyans and all sorts of stuff. So when I heard about Battle of Gods, I was like, this is great, because this has a lot of potential to go somewhere. If it doesn't, then hey, at least we got a movie, and we haven't had a movie in a long time, like a legitimate movie. And I often compared when the first Battle of Gods movie came out, when Battle of Gods came out, I often compared that to Pokemon, the first movie, because I was like, can you imagine if this movie had as much buzz as Pokemon the first movie did? Because I believe even till this day, Pokemon the first movie ranks number one in
Massive.
terms of being like the most overall like popular anime movie to ever drop.
Yeah,
It
in this
grossed out the
country.
most.
Yeah, in this country.
And yes, in this country. So I was just like, how cool would it be if like Battle of Gods either surpassed that or maybe came close enough, and maybe these companies can be like, shit, let's make more movies for the people because they care enough. So we give them our money, because they produced what we wanted, and we get what we want, which is a new movie or show, whatever. So what really took my channel off was knowing that people were sharing and watching my videos, and just ultimately seeing what I had to say on certain things. Now, going back to what you said about adding clips and stuff, that was a big mistake that I did on my end, because although yes, certain clips and stuff were included, like 10-second bits and pieces of trailers and whatnot, I learned the hard way that regardless if it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you're not supposed to include, trailers or anything that has to do with a clip in your video, because ultimately you will get, a copywritten and you will get strike down. So, what happened was I had, I think, maybe 2 or 3 videos that hit like 1 million+ views, and I had to take them down because I had copyright strikes on them and stuff.
That
Because on
fucking
my end,
sucks. Wait a minute.
it does suck.
Wait a minute. So that explains it. Because I remember, I just want to say, I remember there was a time when your Social Blade ranking went from like a B+ to a D-, and that usually happens if some video gets taken down. It happened to Thundershot too, where if you lose a big video, you for some reason Social Blade like kills your ranking. It drops you really low. So that's what happened then, that you got a strike essentially.
Yeah, yes, sir. And what happened was,
Crazy.
it was because of those little, clips and trailers. I mean, my friend Paul told me, and I remember when I was about to make this video, thank God he told me, because I essentially threw in the whole trailer in there, and he was like, dude, you're not supposed to do that, because, it's essentially a copywritten thing, and, for animations and stuff, like that can be a really bad thing. So I was like, all right, well, I was reading on some stuff, and I was like, all right, well, it says here you can include, things, but it's like, as long as they're not above 10 seconds. So I was like, all right, well, let me include like snippets of like the trailer here and there, and then maybe that'll be it. So I included pictures, and I included some trailer clips, maybe like 10, 15 seconds each. And A couple of months later, I remember I looked and there was a copyright strike. And, nobody ever wants to deal with copyright strikes because that can be a hassle in and of
Pain in
itself.
the ass.
So instead of just going through the whole process, because at the time, I didn't really know how to handle that, I just decided, well, what's better? Having my entire, channel being taken down from this or just having one video. So I was like, you know what, let me just get rid of the video. Like the mission was accomplished. I guess you could say, like, people spoke more about the movie and stuff. So I was like, you know what, it is what it is. Like, as long as we get more, like, something more out of this, it's better. So I took down maybe, I think, 5 to 6 videos, and that was like bad because my channel from then, like, I lost a lot of views. And again, like, numbers are always going to be numbers. I didn't really care too much about that because so as long as, like, the product placement of what was going on was getting around, I was fine. Because when I saw Battle of Gods, I must have saw that movie, I saw it 3 times in theaters, and when I got it on DVD, I watched it maybe twice, or I think it was twice in the same day. I used to watch it frequently. I was
Oh,
just like,
bro,
this is
I watched
amazing.
that movie like 6 times in a
It
day,
was
bro.
freaking, it
I
was
was
awesome.
obsessed with
So
it.
it truly was. But and this is the thing, right? Like, there were several people that would disagree, and I'm completely open to just criticism, and because that's the nature of us human beings. I mean, I'm not asking you to completely agree with me. If you want to discuss something, if you disagree, that's completely fine, dude. I like red, you like blue, I like red. Does it really matter? No, but I like, as long as I get someone else's point of view on things, that's what really matters to me. Because I'm not saying that, oh, I just want to be right, and that's that. I mean, no. I mean, obviously, whatever it is you do, like, whatever kind of video you make, whatever kind of topic you cover, you are going to have criticism. You are going to have people that disagree, and that's just completely normal. And my mistake was, at the time being, again, I was going based off of very, you know, I was going based off of websites that were non-credible.
Wait a
And
second. Are you going into the Battle of Gods controversy? Because I'm not ready to go there yet.
oh,
I'm just
okay,
saying,
well,
but
all
if
right.
you
So
want to,
yeah,
yeah, because I have another question for you, because I do want to get into that. We're going
okay,
to talk about that here, but I don't know if I want to get into that right now because I have another
okay,
question for you. Okay. Are you okay with that?
that's completely fine.
Okay, because I want to get in. I do want to get into that, but I do have another thing to talk to you about, and that's the Unreal I guess marketing strategy here, because
Okay.
the thing that's interesting about you is that you're a very young guy, but you seem to have an understanding, and maybe it's because you grew up a wrestling fan. We'll get to that as well. An understanding of branding, because it's not just the Unreal ENT Gaming, it's also Unreal ENT Network, Unreal Creations and Dreams, Unreal ENT Universe, Unreal
Yes.
Studio. So you've taken that Unreal brand, I suppose, and expanded upon it. Did you at any point, like, read this in, like, business books? Because it's very good strategy, and I was just kind of curious about where you had picked, for being a young guy, like, where you picked up on that. Did you go to school for business? Like, what's your education when it comes to at least marketing and things like that? And also the Call
Well,
of Duty brothers, I remember that thing too.
absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
Covering the topic of branding and marketing. Well, I always figured, like, all right, people often are gonna have one channel, and then sometimes they'll go on ahead to to make another channel and whatnot. And some of the mistakes that people make are, like, for example, right, like, if you were to make a channel called I like TV, and then you make another channel called, I like, soda. Like, people are not gonna know, like, it's really you, because you have 2 channels that involve you. But most people are gonna be like, hey, like, you spoke about your second channel, but it doesn't tie into what you're doing. Like, for
It's
example,
never
like,
as big as the first one, right?
no, absolutely. And at the time, like, when I was coming up and whatnot, I always figured, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to stick with that. And one thing about, marketing that I learned from was, I often got, like, my inspirations on, continuing to push forward and produce what you have to produce on your own, was from people like Marlon Manson. I'll give you a perfect example. Marlon Manson, when he wanted to produce music, and when he was coming up, when he was young, nobody wanted to have this guy play on, any major like, stage. Nobody wanted to have him perform anywhere, because he was really weird. He was like a cross-dressing, like, metalhead. Like, it was a time where nobody really trusted this guy. and nobody wanted him to, to show up to their gigs and stuff. So what he did was I mean, even though this is similar, it's kind of different the same way, because what he did was he made endless copies of, his little brand, which was whatever band he was in at the time. He had his picture on there, and he was just doing stuff. And what he was doing, he kept telling people, he just kept putting flyers in people's garages and stuff. He was going out there, like, marketing himself. And one thing I learned on YouTube is nobody is going to market you more than how you market yourself. It's not necessarily a bad thing, because in the end, you as a human being, who else is going to look after you than you, So ultimately, if you want to build a brand, if you want to build a name, through my point of view, I would have to say, stick to what you have. Like, don't go off and just change your name and then have like multiple different things. Like, obviously, that, like, you can have multiple different, channels or businesses or whatever, but stick to like the same like name in terms of umbrella. Like, for example, if you're gonna have Geekdom 101, have other branches, but like they essentially tie into the name Geekdom, because that's what you build, as you
Geekdom
said, like your primary, like your primary
creations and
channel.
dreams, right?
Yeah, well, that's the whole concept of Unreal Creations and Dreams. Was I named it that way on Facebook was because I was creating thumbnails, and these thumbnails were just essentially creations and dreams. Like to give you some examples, like Janemba versus, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and like, Omega versus Vegito and stuff. Like, those were just creations and dreams that I had, that I was creating on, Photoshop and stuff, and I was uploading them. And although, like, the album title sounds wacky tacky, essentially, it has to do with
I
what I
think it's
created. It was a
hilarious.
dream, and it was a creation.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious because like it seems like you're almost like Unreal Creations and Dreams sounds like a legitimate like marketing studio. Like, you know what I mean? That's
Like a Bed Bath and Beyond kind of thing.
yeah, it's totally not like Dragon Ball or video games. It's like, it's always funny to me. The thing about you is that it's crazy, because I don't even think that sometimes I feel like you don't even realize this yourself. Your influence, and we're going to get to the Battle of God story momentarily, but your influence in the community back then, and even still today, but I mean back then, because there was nobody else really. That you were one of the few. Your influence was very what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of people kind of knew who you are without really knowing who you are. And I remember even because you were the first Dragon Ball YouTuber. I hate using that word because you're not just Dragon Ball, but you were the first guy talking about Dragon Ball consistently that I had ever heard of. And I'm not the only one. A lot of people have said that, oh, well, yeah, Unreal. And it wasn't even, it's crazy because it wasn't even that long ago. It was like 3 years, 4 years, right? It wasn't even like 10 years, but it feels like 10 years,
It does.
Yeah, it's crazy. And by the way, I just found that Resident Evil review that you did, by the way, where you like
Please
Vanilla
don't
Ice,
bring up
bro.
movies, man. God.
I just remember that. Was that the first time you were ever on camera?
No, actually, I have. My friend has a channel. When we were younger, we used to just like record ourselves playing. What was it we played on the street? Well, it's kind of like a hood thing. We used to play Skelly, and we used to just film each other doing like parkour stuff in the park. Like, this is years ago, like 2004, 3. But he still had those footages and stuff, but he has them up there somewhere. But like, no, that wasn't the very first time. But like, again, I made a channel years ago called WWE Rule 5, and
Yeah.
that was the first time I showcased my face. And what I did on there was I made my, what was it? I made a
But you were
reaction
like
to,
16, right, or something like
I
that.
was like 16, 15, and I made this like really shitty response to this guy about how WWE was better at the time, even though it wasn't. I was just defending it because I was a huge WWE fanboy. And that was when TNA, I believe, was essentially the better brand. But over the course of time, I was showcasing my face here and there. But that's essentially where I, first showcased it, was like back in like late '06, early '07.
You should do a reaction video to that video.
If it's still out there somewhere, I think it's called WWE Rules TNA Sucks. If it's still out there, I will definitely do that, because it is the most god awful, worst quality video like you can ever watch ever.
I'm looking it up right now. WWE Rules TNA Sucks.
Yeah, I don't. I really hope that it's out there, because
Oh,
like,
wait
I
a
was
minute.
there.
Wait, time out. Hold on. Were you responding to Bill and Doug? Because
Yes,
Bill and Doug did WWE Sucks TNA Rules.
yes, I
Oh,
did. Yes, RVD2 for life.
I could tell you stories about Bill and Doug. I'm not going to right now. We don't have time, but that really, man, it's crazy. It's 6 degrees of separation. I could tell you stories about
Dude,
Bill
and
and Doug, bro.
Slayer and all of those,
Oh
YWC
God,
guys.
that guy, bro. You're bringing back horrific memories of people
Dude,
from the
I'm
past.
telling you, I was around during that time.
True Slayer, bro. The man who claimed, and I have nothing against him, but he once claimed, oh my God, he claimed that the Ring of Honor guys knew he was in the building and were working harder for him. Yeah,
Are you kidding me?
he said that once, and that's when I said,
Dude,
yeah, buddy.
I can't believe it was Pearson 101, RVD Tito for life. Like I remember all these guys because essentially after watching those videos of them, I was just like, hey, I disagree, and I made a video, a really shitty video, and here we are
I think
today.
I found it, bro. Is it okay? Did you have like short hair
No, I don't believe I did. Let me see.
back then? I think I found it. I look WWE rules. We're doing it right here during the interview, bro. Fuck it.
Hey,
Fuck.
wait, do I have a hoodie on? Because I remember I had a hoodie on.
No, you do not have a hoodie
Ah,
on.
damn
Yeah,
it.
'cause I was gonna say this doesn't look that much like you, but
No, no, no.
it was just some kid. I was just thinking. Now that's the other thing too that I wanted to get into real quick. A lot of people think that you're like Puerto Rican. I guess because you're from New York and you kind of have
Yes.
like that. You act like you kind of have that look, but you're not Puerto Rican. I found this out when we had met at the indie show in Ybor City. You are not Puerto Rican. You're actually
No.
from Dino's like region or whatever.
Yes, and a lot of people right now might be asking, like, what do you mean, like, when you saw him?
Okay, yeah. So what happened was, fuck it, we'll tell a story. I decided to meet up with Unreal at an independent show. We'll get into the wrestling here shortly about your love of wrestling.
Yes.
At an independent wrestling show in Ybor, which was run by a guy Sal, who I had been supporting for a long time. Who is Sal Hamoy, who actually now is having a huge deal with WWE. They're really working with WWE now. This could be a potential opportunity for a lot of people, including yourself, to maybe, not saying right away, but in time. This is a big freaking deal. But anyway,
Absolutely.
his original company was FIP before Evolve and all that. And I had gone to the show. This was this was an FIP show, right? Yeah, this was an FIP show. It was branded as FIP if I remember correctly,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, and it was because they have like 4 different indies. They own like 4 different companies. I say make them into one, but that's not up to me. But anyways, yeah, and we met, and you
A
were
lot of people disagree.
yeah, and I'll talk about that night, like kind of you in the ring and all. But nonetheless, we met there, whatever, and I got to know you like on a face-to-face perspective, and you had revealed that you are not Puerto Rican, which a lot of people had thought. I think you
I
said you
mean,
were.
I
We
get
could
that a
talk.
lot, even here. Like, so to confirm that, no, I am not Puerto Rican. I'm actually from Montenegro. My parents are from Montenegro, and so I was never born there, and I never went there. But essentially, I am European, and so I mean, I always get that misconception. Like, are you Puerto Rican? Like, nah, I'm really not. But and again, maybe it's because I was born and raised around here and stuff. Because there are so many. I have so many Puerto Rican friends, man. I have so many just different ethnic friends
New
and stuff.
York.
So I people have assumed they're like, oh man, are you Puerto Rican? Like I remember, I can't tell you how many times people would walk up to me speaking Spanish, and I'm like, dude, no, no, what is it?
No Espanol,
No,
right?
no, no entiendo español. Like, no, I don't.
No, you do. You look it, bro. I mean, but that's it's whatever. Now, another I want to talk to you about real quick is the misconception of Unreal Entertainment Gaming,
Yes.
Unreal ENT Gaming. A lot of people believe, and Dino and I have talked about this a lot because the same thing goes with for Dino. A lot of people have this very incorrect misconception about YouTube and YouTubers, and they feel that like, and this goes for all of us. They feel that we are all rich. They think that we are all making money off of these videos, and you can get paid from YouTube, yes, but there's like a false belief, probably because of people like PewDiePie and Angry Joe, who really are
Yes.
millionaires,
Yes.
not
Yes.
us, but people. I think some people, because I've heard people say this about not just you, but Dino as well. Not me, because I'm not at that level yet as far as subscribers go, but people who have like over 100,000, that you guys are just rolling in money, and not just because of the fact that you live in New York, which I've been to New York and it's very expensive,
Oh God.
very expensive. But
Very.
can you confirm that you are indeed not driving around in a Rolls Royce and snorting cocaine off of a hooker's ass, right?
well, well, I
Even though you're in the business.
Yes. Oh no. Well. I'll get into the business aspect of things because I believe some of the veterans' point of view on things today are just completely off. Like they always make fun of the younger wrestlers, saying, "All you kids do is play video games and watch anime. None of you guys
Bubba
have
Ray
like that real."
Dudley.
It's just like, listen, I would love to make it till 40. All right, I'm
That's
not
true.
trying to roll in dope here, but to answer your question, no, I am in no way, shape, or form rich. I really wish I was because that would offer me an opportunity to help my mom. Now, a lot of you guys may not know this. I don't really have family. All I really have is my mom. I don't have a father. I don't have any siblings. I don't have anyone. She's all I got, and she's reached the point in her life where she needs support. She needs people, well, not people, but she needs her son to be there. And I work a day job. I work in a bank. I've been working in that bank since 2012 when I had my channel, and I still work there till this day. And for those of you out there who don't believe me, you can go on ahead and watch my New Year's 2016 Eve video where I showcase myself in the bank, vlogging with my manager. So I I I never really had a problem with working because I don't mind it at all. If I was rolling in some sort of, pool of money, I wouldn't be having my day job because working in a bank, it's very, very stressful because you have to deal with banksters, you have to deal with the FD, not the FDA, the FDC. You have to deal with so many corporate companies, and you have to deal with the government essentially, and the audits and stuff, and if you have one mistake on an IRA, on a savings distribution, if you have any sort of mistake on any of those, you can get in a lot of trouble. So I've been there since 2012, and people often tend to make those misconceptions saying, well, if you have over a certain amount on YouTube, you tend to make, lots and lots of money. That's not the case at all because a lot of us still have day jobs and we still do what we love, which is YouTube. And essentially, again, like you pointed out, like we're not rolling in PewDiePie money, we're not rolling in Angry Joe money, BF versus GF. Like God bless those people. That's good for them. That's good for them. What they do is what they do.
Absolutely.
What we do is what we do. And no, like I've spoken to Dino so many times. This guy still has a job, like we all still work, and essentially we all do what we love on here for the sake of what we care about, and that's Dragon Ball, that's gaming and stuff, whatever the case may be. But by no means do we make any sort of like a crazy amount of like money. Like we don't make, like, for example, like sometimes people can go based off of like the social blade analytics. They might go,
Oh,
oh
those
well,
are
I
totally wrong,
no,
dude.
those are very wrong. Like
Oh
some people
my
might say,
god.
well, it says here you're making $200,000, dude. I wish I made
Bro,
two hundred thousand dollars.
my social blade says I'm making 63,000 a year. You're
It's
nuts.
it's mind blowing.
You're
Like, first of all, I would
nuts.
not be sitting on this chair. I have like this god awful crappy chair that has no cushion. My ass hurts every time that I'm here, but essentially I put like padding underneath to help me out. Like, if I had money, I would. Well, first of all, I would definitely change my mom's life. I would help her out with everything she needs help on, and I would essentially, leave my job because I don't want to deal with, the stress of working with banksters and stuff. But no, I am in no way, shape, or form, like balling and rolling in a, in a Rolls Royce, and I'm not Floyd Mayweather buying a tiger here. But whatever does come out of this helps me out on a day-to-day basis with food, with bills, with my mom. And sometimes, I often sit there and I think to myself, are we really living life, or are we just living to pay bills? PewDiePie is not living, to pay bills because he has the money to, go on by and just take care of himself. But some of us on here are living to pay bills until there comes a point in time, maybe if we're fortunate enough to go to the next level and not have to worry financially. But and that's the thing, like people
Well, yeah,
always.
the goal is to get there, but it doesn't happen overnight.
Absolutely, like Rome wasn't built in a day, and just the whole concept of YouTube money, like people always, just tend to throw that in other people's faces, like, oh, you make $1 billion. No, no, we don't, man. It's like whatever comes out of this, it's essential because like who wouldn't want to just be there making videos and just ultimately getting paid to what paid for what they to talk about what they love and stuff. It's a great thing to do. It's if you don't utilize something while it's still fresh, when it's gone, you're going to be regretting, not taking the opportunity. So no, like I've gotten to know many other bigger YouTubers, like bigger YouTubers than me. And, at least I can speak to myself. I work a job. Danny, I'm sure you work, like Dino works, but we all have that, like that great relationship with fans because essentially they love to hear what we have to say. And at the end of the day, it's just numbers, like unless of course you're reaching PewDiePie numbers, then you don't have nothing to worry about. But I'm not rolling in no Rolls Royce or anything. I'm still freaking sitting. Oh God, if I ever made a lot of money, I'm buying myself a new chair. That's like a New Year's resolution for me.
I mean, it's just funny to me because I know there's a lot of people right now, and I'm talking about specifically you, not because there are bigger YouTubers than us who I feel do game the system with clickbait, and I feel like they I don't like, and they are making money off of it, and I don't like that. I've been very very strongly, very much against that with when it comes to, but I feel like there's a lot of people right now who heard you say that and they're like, okay, well, this guy's got money to pay for his sick mom. I feel like a dirt bag. I feel like a lot of
No, no,
people
no.
are
I mean,
saying that right now.
that's the one thing. I don't want nobody to feel, as if like they should feel like shit or whatever. Like everyone, listen. At the end of the day,
Misconceptions.
like absolutely, and opinions are always going to be opinions. Like everyone has one, and as like Jay Lethal told me, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, and it stinks. So I again, like if someone has a misconception of certain things, and essentially they realize like, hey, I was wrong, then hey, I'm not gonna belittle you for it. Like, hi, I told you you were wrong, you dumbass. Like that's not who I am. Like, and I've always been a nice person. I like, if even to my haters, like the people that hate me to the very cores of the earth, like I would never have anything bad to say because I don't know. I'm a very nice person. Like if you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I don't have a problem with anybody. I tend to avoid that stuff. But again, as you said, it's hard because again when I was coming up on YouTube years ago, in the Call of Duty community, as you just said, there was
Those
a
guys,
lot of
those
clickbaiting.
guys can make or have money now. By the way, a lot of those
No, they
guys
have
have money.
money now because of what they did, and hey,
Yeah, took
kudos
them
to them.
years.
They did what they did, but essentially, I'll never forget a long time ago, like Modern Warfare 2 days, people were posting up videos like exclusive nuclear kill streak and stuff, but it was like something completely different and whatever. But hey, like that's essentially how most of these bigger YouTubers got around. I'm not gonna mention any names, but like within certain communities and stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, good for them. They did what they did, and just it doesn't affect me at all. So
Yeah, with me, since I got here, I've kind of wanted to get rid of them. Not the Call of Duty guys, but in Dragon Ball. And honestly, get rid of them because to me, when you spread misinformation, it hurts. Well, it hurts your credibility, number one, but also it hurts the community because it starts firefights or flame wars or whatever,
yes,
firefights. And it also makes the people who are telling the truth look bad. Now, I want to get into the controversy. All right, here we go.
okay,
The Battle of Gods controversy with you, because when I first did this, when I first announced that you or had the thought of you of interviewing you, I got an interesting tweet from the guy who runs Kanzenshu, and he said
yes,
he goes, I don't really know any of those people except for one, and he's got a bad reputation during the Battle of Gods era. And he was talking about you,
yes,
and the fact that your name stretched out all the way to Kanzenshu, and actually, if you go to the Kanzenshu message board and you type in UnrealENTGaming, you'll be
yes,
surprised.
yes.
A lot of dislikes, and so I want to talk about the kind of the root of that and give you a chance to talk about it as well. I kind of feel weird talking about it, but I kind of have to because if I don't talk about it, it's gonna make both of us look like
No,
we're a couple of
absolutely. I mean, it
pussies.
shouldn't feel weird at all. It's go ahead.
Okay, now of course this was 3 years ago. You put out a video where you said in the video that you saw Battle of Gods. I don't remember exactly what you said, but you said you saw Battle of Gods. You got a copy of it from a friend of yours in Japan, and you claimed that in the movie, Goku and Vegeta fused to make Gogeta and kill Beerus. And I'm gonna be completely blunt with you about this. You don't know this. I had a different account back then, and you may have banned me, but I had a totally different YouTube account, and I commented in that video, and I said, "This guy's full of shit. This is bullshit," and it was, and because I knew it was bullshit. I just knew, and that video was taken down, and there's still a Kanzenshu thread about it. So. What happened there? And be honest, like you were younger, were
Absolutely.
you trying to garner attention? Because this is very distinct, and I hate talking about it, but it needs to be talked about.
No, absolutely. So going back to the early days of Dragon Ball Battle of Gods. Now, at the time, I remember going based off of various sites, and going back to what you said about watching the movie. There were certain sites that I was unaware of, from uTorrents to Daily Motion and stuff, where people would they would stream or they would have like these horrible versions of movies or shows or whatever, and you can go on ahead and watch them there. Now, going back to the Battle of Gods stages, I remember, and I'll never forget, like the very first video was I saw an image of Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, Gotenks, and Gogeta in the background. So it was on a site called comicbook.com, and I remember on the top headline it said something like Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, blah blah blah, Gogeta, Super Saiyan 3 confirmed, whatever.
Oh
So
my
that
god.
was
So
before,
so they
again.
started it.
No, no. Before I knew anything, I didn't know about websites like KANZENSHUU, Sand Island, which I really went on that one mostly out of all of them. Sand Island was a primary thing, but that was after. I didn't know about Sand Island, Dragon Ball Insider. I didn't know about KANZENSHUU. I didn't know about any of these sites. All I kept going based off of was like comicbook.com. I was going based off of another website. It was OTAK. It was something. It was just I can't remember the
Kotaku.
exact. What was it?
Kotaku, because they're the ones who actually,
Yes.
they were the ones who also put out that article this year about red being stronger than blue, which a lot of big YouTubers did, including you. And I was
Yes.
like, fuck. And that's actually the article that got me noticed from Dino, because all of my people from my channel, when I made, because I made a video, just real quick, I'll tell a story. I made a video about how the community is very gullible, and all of my people on my comment section actually flooded your channel and Dino's, and people thought that I was taking shots at you and Dino. And it's funny because, number one, I was not taking shots at you or Dino, especially not Dino, because Dino dropped his video at the same time I dropped mine, so how was I supposed to know he was going to do it? But it was funny because that's what got me noticed from Dino, and then we wound up collaborating actually that very same night. But it's funny because, again, that still goes on today. Kotaku still, don't trust Kotaku. I'm just saying. But
And
continue.
at the time, I didn't really know about these websites, and that just goes to show, like, never believe what you see on the internet, because again, it could be false information. And that's, dude, like, that is something that is spread everywhere. So I was going based off of these things, and there were several people, I'm not going to mention their names, who would always talk to me, and they were always like, yo, check this out, check that out. And I was checking them out, and I was reading those sites, and I was like, this has to be true, because all of these sites are linked and they're all saying the same thing. So I remember I was so stupid to believe that there was this deity. At the time, I called him Bills because of all the stuff I was reading on these
A
websites.
lot
I
of
was like,
us
all right, so
did.
Bills is going to fight, Goku and Vegeta, and they're not going to be able to stop him. So he's going to merge into Gogeta, and they're going to go on ahead and fight this deity, which I was very excited about, because I was like, oh shit, they bring him back Gogeta, whatever. So I was making videos on that, and then there were other things that people were getting really upset about afterwards when I made videos called Battle of Gods 2. Now,
That's
I will
right.
explain. I will definitely explain more of that. Now, the reason why I entitled it Battle of Gods 2 was because I went off of the ending of Battle of Gods. Now, I'll never forget. It's still on KANZENSHUU. People were just like, "This guy's crazy. There is nothing planned after Battle of Gods. Like, there's gonna be no sequel." The reason why I called it Battle of Gods 2 was based off of the assumption with Goku and Beerus after their conversation in space.
Yeah,
When
the
Beerus told,
revelation of the 12 universes, which
yes,
I actually
and
thought there would
and
be a
I,
sequel
I
too.
told myself, I was like, why? Why would Akira Toriyama? Why would anybody,
Yes, you're
subliminally
right.
like
You're
include
right.
that and not have a future plan?
No, you're 100% correct. I think that what they thought is that you were purposely saying it was confirmed.
No, no,
Like,
no.
look,
And to me, going back to that, when I would talk about it, the reason why I would say it was potentially confirmed was because, again, why would you reference many things, many things, and you're not going to execute with that later on down the road? I mean, I knew we weren't going to get a new movie next year. I honestly thought, and I swear to God, I thought we were going to get a new movie this year at that time. In 2013, I thought to
every
myself, all
three
right, well,
years.
like yeah, I was like, maybe 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 years, we're gonna get a new movie, and they're gonna execute more about what's gonna happen with these like deities and whatever. But I entitled my videos Battle of Gods 2 because, not knowing what the next movie might be called, I assumed it was going to be Battle of Gods 2, because if Beerus referenced these other deities, why wouldn't these deities show up, and they're gonna have this all out battle? So I was just like, I was very ecstatic, because I was like, yes, like once I saw the film, I was like, dude, this is amazing, because like, why wouldn't they go on ahead and execute with their plans going on forward with introducing these other deities and stuff? And essentially they have, except guess what? It wasn't called Battle of Gods 2. It was called Resurrection F. Now, nobody expected Frieza to show up and stuff, and not even myself. And that kind of bummed me out until I saw a couple of posters and
The poster's what got me going.
yes, and that was when Frieza was standing there in his traditional pose, and he had like this aura behind him, and I was like, wait a minute, right? I've seen that before. So I remember I was just like, wait. So if they're gonna bring back Frieza to fight Goku, who I assume was gonna be in his god form, wouldn't that mean that Frieza would have to be on par with Goku, like having some sort of godlike energy? Because in reality, like in reality, how do you compare to someone of godlike power? Like it just, it's just
Yeah,
like
well, yeah,
you have to have somewhat of like, godlike energy, or at least that's what I assumed. Because I was like, dude, I don't think Frieza is going to be able to touch this guy because he just acquired like this new godlike transformation. Like this is it. It's the be all end all. But I was wrong. And
well, I mean, it's writing. They, you know,
absolutely.
yeah, but
But
actually,
I was
go
going
ahead.
based off of these sites, and I was like, and then oh god, and then that photoshopped picture of Frieza, and I went on two sites to make sure it was like real and whatever, and they both had the same image, and people were like sharing it on Facebook, so I was like, all right, boom, it has to be it because, and then when I really looked into it, and I saw a couple of responses from like Dino and stuff, and I was like, wait a minute, and then I looked back and I asked a couple of friends, and they were like, "Oh, that's Omega Shenron skin, like photoshopped on Frieza's body." I was like, "No fucking way."
Uh,
And when I was looking through it and whatnot, I was like, "Wow, I was fucking wrong." And I personally went on ahead in several fan mails to talk about that, and I explained to
yes,
certain people, like
yes.
I explained to certain people, I was like, "Hey, I was wrong, whatever." But again, like I believe
But
that.
I was just saying one thing. The
Okay,
problem,
no,
no, I'm just real quick. I just want to say the problem is that when you're, because you were the biggest one, when you make one mistake, and again, the thing is, I just remember in the video you had said, I remember you said that you saw the movie and you didn't see the movie. You said you saw it, you didn't see the movie, and that's fine because you were young or whatever. And I was actually going to share real quick that what you did, I actually did, which I'm ashamed of because I was 19 when the Matrix Revolutions was coming out. I wrote a I had an account called Speak the Truth. I went on a message board called The Last and Free City, and I went on there and I claimed to be working on the movie, and I gave away completely fake spoilers for the movie, which by the way were better than the movie, but that's how it always is, right? And I was 19 and I was seeking attention. I'm not saying that's what happened with you. I just remember that you had added the detail that you had seen the movie, and the other one that was controversial. Okay, according to what I read, I never saw this video, so you have to confirm it. And again, it's a long time ago, so I'm not
yes.
coming down on you. But what was the story about how you try to take credit for Funimation dubbing it, saying that it was your video that got Funimation to notice it? That's a rumor that I had heard. Where did that come from? Was that just like, were you like
That
kidding, or were you like drunk, or were you just being young and dumb? Like, what happened?
that I don't remember. I'm kind of unaware about. But if I had mentioned it, it was probably going based off of those videos that had millions of views. Because at
That's
the
funny.
time, there weren't many people that were covering the basis of what was going on. So I was like, all right, well maybe my video got these people to notice and say, hey, you know what? All these people are talking. Like maybe this is the reason why people are talking because we have this guy or that guy talking about it. So and then in those videos, I remember I was always like, if you guys have your own opinions, comment down below or make a video about it, whatever. And I remember specifically telling people like, just make as many videos as possible, talk about it, and just get it out. Just get it the fuck out, like anywhere. Just share it anywhere. And I thought personally I had somewhat of a partake in that because who else was covering Battle of Gods?
Don't take
And
this the wrong way, but that was your ego talking. Don't
no,
take
it
it the
was my
wrong
ego
way.
talking. And when it comes to mistakes, I am never one to just sit there and say I didn't make a mistake. I have made mistakes, and for those of you out there who have gone away or looked at me in a different view, I just want to say personally that I greatly apologize if you have any sort of misconception of me, or if you have a different viewpoint on me. For those of you out there who resent me or possibly hate me, whatever, I want to apologize to you guys if I had made you believe otherwise. My intentions were never to mislead you because I was misled myself, but on my end, I never did the necessary research that I do now to back up my claims. At the time, I was going based off of irrelevant websites, and I was going based off of kind of like word to mouth, and I was like, all right, well, if these people are talking about it, then it must be true. I was
Yeah,
never
and I
digging
remember you,
into.
you used to real quick. I remember you used to say that you had sources and things like that. And I
Yes,
guess
and
now you're
those
revealing
sources.
that they were websites. They weren't actually people in Toei.
Yes, it was the websites. It was
Yeah.
the folks that I was talking to on Facebook. It was all of like like I remember there was a couple of Latin what was it, Latin links that were like always shared and whatnot. So I didn't understand them, but I went based off of pictures and stuff. So I was like, yo man, what does this say? And they're like, oh blah blah. So again, I don't want anyone out there to be misconstrued what
Well,
I did.
that's why we're
I have
doing
made
this
mistakes. I
video,
mean,
man.
what was that?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was saying that's kind of why we're doing this video so you can speak on it
No,
because
absolutely.
times are different now for you. You no longer do that kind of shit, and that's what I'm saying. That's like the whole purpose of this, or one of the purposes of this, is to get you to talk to the people directly.
No,
Because I mean, yeah,
absolutely. And to those who I have affected directly in terms of having them think differently of me or maybe think that I'm some kind of a scumbag, dirtbag, worst person on the planet. Again, I want to apologize to you guys if I made you believe otherwise. My intentions, again, were not to mislead you or misinform you or just get you to believe something different. My intentions were to get the movie out there. For me personally, because I wanted more out of this in terms of like, because I grew up on Dragon Ball so much that I wanted to see more. It's kind of like an addicting thing. Like, and what I mean by addicting is I listen to like, and I know you don't like the Falconer stuff as much, but I love the Falconer music when
nah,
I go
it's
to
all
the
good.
gym.
I
When I
respect
go
it.
to the gym, I listen to it. I have an entrance music based off of the Enigma TNG's Vegeta Super Saiyan God theme. I love Dragon Ball so much. And at the time, I was just like, if I can get someone to spread this video, or if I can make other people make videos and then we can just keep sharing it or whatever, I thought maybe these companies can see that people are talking and they can just give us what we want. And then essentially, the more we talk, the more they see, hey, there's potential profit, and the more they give us. But
Well,
I do
that
want.
actually did work, but I'm not allowed to talk about it right now.
No,
But
I
go
mean
ahead.
that's hey, if it worked, it worked. If it did not, it did
No, no,
not. But
not what you did.
no,
Well,
no,
what I
and
mean to say is what. Okay, I just want to say real quick. If fans want something really badly, and I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm not allowed to talk about it because of who I talk to. I'll tell you off air. I don't want to be that guy, but and actually by the time that this video's up, it might already be out. But if fans want something, you rally behind it, you may actually get it. And there is something in Dragon Ball that you may actually get. I can't talk about it. That's all I'm saying though. Go ahead.
no, absolutely, and
I'm saying that
um,
that strategy could work. You know.
no, absolutely, and again, there were times where I made mistakes, and upon making those mistakes, I made the mistakes of never digging into what was really going on. I was just like, all right, this has got to be true. It has to be spoken about, but
Yeah.
again, I came across your channel, and I don't know if you either renamed it or like you changed it. It was
The
the
epitome of
epitome.
geekdom. You
Yes, yes.
were responsible for my first, I think my first 100 subs. I remember.
I
I've
remember I
never
came
told you
across your
that, but I know
channel,
you were.
and I remember when I saw you out and I was looking into your videos, you mentioned something about KANZENSHUU, and I was like, I have no idea what the hell that is, because I was going based off of SaiyanIsland.com, because
Yeah.
Saiyan Island was always keeping up with certain things, and they always seemed to be accurate. And then I remember when I came across your video, you were talking about what the hell was it? It was definitely the Resurrection F movie.
Yeah, it was. I had the spoilers from Japan
Yes.
because Julian and K17 I think went to go see it, and I had them first, and I remember yeah that and then you did the video and you gave me a link back and I got 100 subs out of it. No, that's you kind of that's why you're here, bro. That's another reason why I was willing to talk to you. See, a lot of these guys who I'm gonna be very blunt with you, a lot of these guys who have like a checkered past, so to speak, I don't even want to deal with them, but I was like, this guy's kind of responsible for my initial boost, so I kind of have to talk to him. And people were saying that to me, and it's true. It's true. People were saying that I came from Unreal's channel, so it's like, I'm not gonna be, an angry young man about it, or whatever.
Absolutely, man.
You
And
know?
again, I just want to point that out that for anyone out there who feels differently of me, I do want to say I greatly apologize. And
Of
hopefully
course.
I can rebuild that relationship with, the people that were once there like before. Obviously I have a very good fan base now, and I'm very grateful of that, dude. I never thought I would get 50 subscribers, 10 subscribers, let alone what I
Yeah.
have now. Again, those are just numbers. But I'm very grateful. I'm like I grew up like with lots of respect, and I'm never one to just belittle someone or just be angry at someone. And there were so many times where like I was misled on non-related Dragon Ball stuff. But I want to go back and revert to the whole misleading concept some may have because you know, there are companies out there that consistently mislead you with adverts across all platforms of
all the
social
time.
media. The news, Yahoo Reports, CNN, NBC, comicbook.com, whatever. It's a headline that is used to grab the viewer's attention to get them to focus on what's being said or what's going on. Now, in terms of clickbait, clickbait is something entirely misleading and it makes you think one thing, but it's essentially something completely different when you go on ahead and click on it. For
Yeah,
example, right?
which by the way, just real quick, the way YouTube has changed their algorithms, if you do clickbait now, you're going to end up murdering your channel dead because your
Absolutely.
retention, the way I understood it is if your retention level is below a certain percentage, which I'm not going to give out because it's nobody's business. I'll tell you though off air, if your retention's below a certain percentage, you are classified under YouTube as a clickbait channel and they will not promote you. And that's why some of your favorite channels, people out there who have like, you see channels that have like 50,000 subs, but they have like 300 views a video. That's their
Absolutely.
retention. It hurts. And here's the problem. There's a scary thing, Alex. If you get below that, you're not at that level at all, not even close. None of us are. Well, I know someone who is, but I can't talk about it. But if you're
Okay.
below that level, I don't even know how to get out of it. So just don't clickbait because it's gonna hurt you at the end of the day. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. And also like sometimes I believe, in my opinion, it doesn't mainly come from YouTube channels. Mostly, you know, people go based off of websites, false websites, misleading websites. And again, all it takes is a simple title. And I was one of those fish that when I dove into that pond, I went into the wrong cave and I was reading all these things and I thought it was real, but essentially they weren't. So
Yeah.
I want to personally thank you for guiding me in the right direction in terms of what to know, like what to actually, you know, focus more on. And in terms of like, you and Dino introduced me to KANZENSHUU. You guys introduced me to like a different algorithm as to like what to go by. Now, again, back then, I just went off of like the most ridiculous things. And even till this day, I wish I can go back and like not do that. Even include clips of trailers and stuff, because that's what really affected me. And also what affected me was back, I think it was mid 2015 when I think it was Funimation, Toei, one of those two. They were going around and they were destroying Dragon Ball channels.
Oh
Easy
man,
went down.
Toasty fucking yeah, Toasty
Well,
got
like
destroyed. I got a copyright strike. I remember.
we all got hit with something, and
Oh,
I
you
was getting
too.
hit. Yeah, I was
I
getting
never
hit
knew
with
that.
all these things, and it was all for Xenoverse stuff. So I was like, really? Like I was mind blown. And there was about two videos that I had that just included several pictures. Excuse me, several pictures, and I was like, oh shit! Like even pictures can get you in trouble. So I took all those videos down, and I lost 5 million views. Again, it was a big hit, but at the same time, I didn't really know anything about what was going on because again, I just thought like Funimation is just like going around with Toei and just destroying people. And then when I found out Azizi went down, I was like, dude, why? Like, and then I was just like, this is it. Like, this is the end for many people because you know you can't even do gameplays anymore. Because the reason why I started doing gameplays more than anything else on my topic coverage was because when I did the topic coverage of certain things and I included trailer clips, it would result in a copyright. So I was like, wow, like things are still getting copywritten even while having gameplay. So I didn't know what to do. But then I found out from you guys that it was just like a big misconception on their end because they thought people were putting out actual clips, which I do say, guys, stop doing that because if like although it may not bother some, it bothers the companies because you know they can go around just, you know, doing all sorts of stuff to people that haven't done anything because of people that go out there and put out full battles and actual movies and stuff. Like how many times was like the movie uploaded to like YouTube before it was taken down by these companies and stuff? And then essentially I believe that they went around trying to take down everybody because they assumed, hey, they're all adding some sort of copywritten stuff in their shit, you know, like let's take them down and stuff. It was nuts.
Yeah, and actually, what real quick before we move on to the business of professional wrestling here, I have two more topics, and then we'll be done. Our buddy Quinn, it's funny. Funimation actually, this is YouTube right here. Funimation allowed Dino and Quinn, and I think Thunder too, to put up clips of Resurrection F to promote the movie. Uh, so Quinn uploads this clip legally given to him by Funimation. They help us promote our movie. They did it, which again, that's, it happens. Funimation actually has worked closer with YouTubers than before. And then about 4 months later, Quinn gets a copyright strike for that same footage that he got permission to get from Funimation.
Wait, really?
That's how broken YouTube is. He got the strike from Toei. He sends me a text angry. Fuck Toei, fuck them. He's just so mad. And I'm like, dude, like I feel so bad. He got it fixed, but nonetheless, that's YouTube. Like even if you get authentic permission, they might still figure out some way, because it's all controlled by the bots, so they'll take you down. And the reality is, man, you know this to be true, and this is why I told you recently about fighting all the copyright strikes. Unless you're actually putting out full episodes or full movies, you have a fair use clause. Legally, if you're talking over a clip, you actually can legally do that, as long as it's transformative enough to where you're not taking money out of Toei's pocket, and there's no way that none of us are. So, in fact, we're actually putting money in their pocket in many ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're so right. But what sucks here is the fact that if they did that to him, that's wrong, because how else do you think a lot of these like brands got to where they got to? I'll give you some examples. Like Minecraft, right? When Minecraft was coming up, people were covering that like crazy. Like it was just a small regular company that just made this game, and everybody was playing it. And essentially it got so big, it became, what is it, a multi-billion-dollar, multi-million-dollar company?
It's like the biggest game on YouTube, right?
Exactly. And it's because of people that were going out there sharing this and just, showcasing it. Is Mojang going around destroying Minecraft channels? No, because they know they made profit off of this based on everyone that's sharing it, based on everyone that's supporting it and stuff. So I believe that's what Funimation should do. And just essentially, just believe and trust in their supporters and followers into bringing them money, because I'm sure they want to make money as a company. But having to take people, down or just strike them for like just essentially promoting their stuff, it's messed up, man. But I mean, I get it from their end. But it's just when that went around, I was just like, man, you can't even add games like Xenoverse. Like, how is that even a bad thing? I remember looking at ZZ's channel. I was like, when I read the headline, it said something with copyright guidelines, including Xenoverse, and I was like, what? Really? It's a game. It's a game.
And it's funny because Namco Bandai has actually given us permission to use Xenoverse footage, which is so if it gets taken down, it's usually just some intern who just got hired, doesn't know what the hell they're doing. Let me ask you a question. So before Dragon Ball, was pro wrestling your first real obsession?
I would have to say yes. It was pro wrestling, Dragon Ball, and my last one was Marvel like TV shows and stuff. I came across Dragon Ball completely by accident. I remember I wanted to watch Ed, and Eddie and Spider-Man on, what the hell was it? I think it was on Cartoon Network. I came home from school. I was browsing through the channel. It was like 4:30. At that time, that was when they aired Dragon Ball. I was flicking through. It wasn't on, but I came across like this whole angle with Frieza and Goku. I didn't know who was who. I didn't really care. I was just like, and I spoke about this in several fan mails. Like, when I saw this for the first time, I completely lost interest. I was just like walking around. I'll never forget it. And then when I went back in my room looking for some fruit roll-ups, I turned around and I saw Frieza and Goku fight. It was Super Saiyan Goku, mind you. And they were beating the shit out of each other. And I never saw this in a cartoon, because at the time I thought it was a cartoon. So I was like,
it's a cartoon.
This is amazing. So I remember I sat there and I was like, oh, wait, this dude's bloody. He's bloody. They're beating the piss out of each other. It just looks really cool. And then I remember, like, when it ended, I was like, oh, that was pretty rad, whatever. The following week, I was doing the same thing. I started watching it frequently. And I didn't really have cable in my house, like during a certain point. Like, I missed out the Cell saga, the Majin Buu saga, but I had to go next door to my neighbor's house just to watch it because I didn't have cable. And I got more drawn into it, and after watching the show and after listening to the music, because the music was another thing, like Bruce Falcone's music was another thing that really drew me into the show, because certain songs had like certain mystiques about them that were just like really good. So I was like, man, this is awesome. And at that time, again, I came across wrestling by accident, because during the VHS era, I wanted to go around the corner to my house and I wanted to get a copy of the South Park movie on the VHS tape.
Oh boy,
The
that
guy
movie.
gave me a wrong tape. He gave me a raw tape, and I'll never forget when I popped the tape in. I was expecting to see South Park, was the Asses on Fire. I was expecting to see that, but instead, here comes Kane. And when I first saw Kane, I was like, dude, this guy looks freaking epic. It was like this giant, big red, long-haired man with a mask and this red suit, and he beat the shit out of X-Pac. And from then on in, dude, I was just hooked because they had an episode. I think that was the same show where DX was going up against the Ministry, I believe it was, or it was something
Attitude
going.
Era.
And yes, and that was when Jacqueline's tits came out, and Jerry the King Lawler went nuts. That was it.
That helped me go through puberty.
And I was like, this is amazing. And I fell in love with wrestling ever since.
Her titties?
What was that?
Her titties were amazing?
No, dude, like, not only her tits, but just, like, the overall, like, the way it happened, like, she was hoisted up in the air, she was, like, lifting up her hands, I'll never forget it, and then next thing you know, I think someone came from behind her and pulled down her shirt, and then boom, they just came out. And King was like, puppies!
That was actually a European show.
Was it?
Yeah, that was one of the European pay-per-views.
It was the best.
Her nipple actually got exposed twice. Well, yeah, she does have some nice ones, but nonetheless. So you got into it right in the Attitude Era. I will tell you this much: I don't know if you've gone back to watch any of those that like 99, yes, but 99 has a lot of plot holes. 99 WWF is like so much fun, but it's like super. It's so much fun if you turn your brain off, but when your brain is on, bro, and then you wonder, okay, so Vince was secretly in control of The Undertaker, even though Undertaker was beating him up, even though Taker first turned heel because he was mad at Vince, even though it's like one hole after another. And they did not care about continuity in 99. They still don't, but I feel like 97 and 98 were stronger years. But when you look at, like, I've been reviewing those for my podcast. When you look at the Attitude Era, bro, it was a lot of fun, but man, did nothing make sense.
Yo, nothing
crazy.
ever did. And I remember, like, when I first got into WCW, I came across Sting, and I was Sting. He was in the NWO, and it was just a time where I was like, wait a minute, where's Stone Cold? Where's Rock? I didn't know. And I was just like, and I was building the foundation of getting familiar with WCW.
Yeah, but they had all those athletic guys, and I'm sure you probably got hooked on them.
Oh, yeah, like Rey Mysterio Jr., and they had Psychosis, and like it was, dude, it was nuts. But essentially,
like, a great era.
It absolutely was, dude. And just like Dragon Ball with wrestling, through the good, through the bad, I've stuck along with it. I am a huge fan of both. And, you know, with wrestling, dude, it's a passion that I can't even explain because, yeah, some people out there might say, but it's fake.
I hate when people say that.
God, it just bothers me. Like the trick about wrestling, it's like if you don't learn how to do certain things to protect yourself in the ring, a very simple move can knock you out. And I've seen several people get knocked out. I remember in 2013 when Low Key came to our school and he was training with us. Low Key is a person that, I mean, I would love to be in the ring with, but he is very, very intimidating and he is very fucking dangerous, this guy. And when he was training us, man, it was like simple stuff, you know, like chain wrestling and whatnot. But his aggression, like all the stuff that he emitted, like I was able to connect to because I was just like, this is what wrestling is. It's supposed to be taken serious, not too serious to where you can't have fun, but like to the point where like you do want to strive to be the very best and whatnot. And I remember watching wrestling like back in the day with Doink the Clown and like all these wrestlers. Like I hate to say this, but I really wasn't a fan of like the comedy characters in a way. Like I don't know if that makes sense.
I just want to say one quick thing. Okay, for those who might not know this, Alex is a professional wrestler. I just want to say that because maybe you jumped into that so that people understand that you are an independent wrestler, and I saw you work. And you know, I just want to say you are very, very good. I didn't expect you to be that good, and I'm very critical, dude. I'm super critical when it comes to the indies because the indie guys are, you know, and nothing against independent wrestling, but a lot of the indie guys have become these like spot monkeys. And
hell yeah.
But you weren't that, and the whole thing with you and Sonny Kiss and that whole gimmick, that just unique stuff. Sonny Kiss is doing the adorable Adrian Street gimmick from the 80s, which only old school guys will remember.
Yes.
We haven't seen that in a while, and you can't do that on WWE anymore.
No.
It's too PG.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but I just want to clarify that, and the thing about wrestling is it is a lot like Dragon Ball, in a sense. But I will say this though, okay, about Doink the Clown. Babyface Doink in '94 was absolutely terrible. Not as a wrestler, but just the character was embarrassing. But
Yes,
and I've
and he was a
said
great
this.
wrestler.
Oh, he was, but I've said this before. If you watch the original Doink the Clown, the heel run in 1993, which was Matt Bourne, this is one of the absolute greatest underrated characters. This was Heath Ledger's Joker before Heath Ledger's Joker, and maybe not as the acting wise, but Matt Bourne is Doink from November of '92 to August of '93 was so freaking brilliant. Because remember the gimmick, maybe you don't remember because it was probably when you were like really little, but if you go back and watch it, bro, Doink the Clown's gimmick was that it wasn't that he was a clown. That was later, that was retconned. He was a psycho who would dress up like a clown because he was afraid to face reality. And they did that thing where, dude, man, they were so good back then. They did that thing where he tricked Crush to shake his hand, and then he beat Crush with the fake arm. And bro, Doink the
I
Clown.
think I remember that.
You probably do. It was WrestleMania 9, they had the match. And the
Yes.
promos that he would cut where he's like, you're seeing double, and he would smoke a cigar. Bro, Doink the Clown.
Yes. But dude, like,
brilliant, man.
but
Fuck.
at that time, again, even going back to today, it's just it's such
It
a
was a
different
dark
like
character.
era and stuff. Like back in the day, I used to love Jake the Snake Roberts promos. Like
Oh,
that
are you
guy,
kidding me? Everybody
dude,
does. If you don't, you're dumb, honestly.
like dude, like when he would speak, it was just so like I had the impression like if I ever came across this guy at a diner, he's gonna fucking stab me in the throat because like the way he would speak and he was like, yeah, you have to trust me. I'm gonna be there for the Undertaker. I was like, oh my god, no, you're not. Like you're a piece of shit. But like he was so good at what he did, and like it kind of upsets me because in today's day and age, we don't have those characters. We do have more athleticism, and we do
Absolutely.
have a lot of great matches that
Bray
happen nowadays.
Wyatt kind of touched it, but they're too pussy to really push the envelope.
Well,
You know what I mean?
all right. Well, here's the thing, right? If you're on Raw right now, you have a 3-year contract. You're getting paid good money. Vince is in your ear. Triple H is your boss. They're all there,
Yep.
and you have this guaranteed spot. You're going up on the ladder. Would you jeopardize what you have in order to make an impact that may or may not, essentially cause change? Like, for
no.
example, Punk, right? Like,
Yeah.
Punk made that promo, and nobody knew. Like, we all thought, shit, is he gonna get fired? Like, what he said was just like borderline freaking awesome. But needless to say, he went off script. They cut his mic. And there was a lot of heat back then, like with him and him wanting to leave. It was just a lot of drama, but essentially they went with it because people got behind it. And again, like it's more or less. I understand what you're saying. Like
What I'm talking about, I just want to say real quick. It's not about Bray Wyatt the guy, like Wyndham Rotunda. I mean, like the writing. Like I felt like the Bray Wyatt cult leader character. It's better now, but there was that. Remember that he had that really awkward 6 months where he was by himself and
yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
right. But my point is going back to the Jake thing, which is kind of not. I'm not saying that he should step out of line, but the writing, because nowadays it's all writers. Back then, the workers got to do what they wanted. Dude, I'm a big fan of like heels. Like I love.
Yes.
And the thing with you is that you're a total baby face, and that's fine because you'll probably get laid more, but that's what matters, right? But like as a heel, like. And maybe you could do heel. You'd have to like change everything. But I'm a heel. Actually, you know what? If you put on a business suit, you probably could be a heel. But no, I just love heels. And Jake Roberts in '91, bro, when he slapped Elizabeth, there was two angles. He slaps Elizabeth. And this is '91, and people who weren't around back, you couldn't hit a woman on TV in fucking '91.
Hell
and
no.
when he
not
put
those writers.
right, and when he put the cobra on Vince's arm, I'm sorry. When he put the cobra on Randy Savage's arm and it bit into his arm, a real cobra, dude. They can't do this anymore, bro. It's a different era. It's just they did not. What an angle, bro. And then no, I'm marking out right now, as you can tell. The Tuesday in Texas promo. When Jake slaps Elizabeth, Randy's wife, and Randy cuts that fucking promo, bro.
I have to watch this. You're making me like want to watch wrestling right now.
Cause Randy, Randy was real, bro. Randy cuts this promo that if your wife ever gets slapped, if you don't cut a promo like this, bro, you're not a man, bro. Man, bro, and it was, and then remember they had the whole thing where the blow off on Saturday Night's Main Event, and
Yes.
then Randy beat him, and then what happened was Jake was pissed. He goes to the back and he's about to whack Elizabeth with a chair. He's hiding behind the curtain, and Randy and Liz are coming to the back, and Jake's about to hit him with the chair, and Undertaker grabs the chair because
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
and
yes.
that was his babyface turn, and then they did the funeral parlor, right, and he's like, so let me ask you something. Whose side are you on? And Undertaker's like, not yours. Then everybody popped.
Yes.
What happened to
Trying to get in
wrestling,
Taker's head.
bro?
I'll
Fuck.
never forget. He always tried to get in Taker's head with those promos of them in the basement and stuff. Like,
The
oh
Warrior stuff with the casket full of snakes and all that.
yes.
It's crazy, bro. They just, man, like I miss. It's just a different era, bro. Nobody will understand unless
It's
you
a
go
different
back and
era,
watch
but
it.
like what I think affects a lot of things are sponsorships. Like they don't want to lose their sponsors and stuff. You know,
Well, I'm not saying they should. I'm saying it was so, and this
I'm
is
saying they should. Shit.
ballsy. It was ballsy for 91, man. And then ECW kind of did things like this too for a while. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No.
jump in.
I think
Just
you're
mark
absolutely
it
right
out,
because
bro. I'm
looking
marking
at
out.
today's roster, like, don't you think they have it all? Like they have, like for example, right? Like I would
They just need
love
better writers.
Like I would love to see someone like Dean Ambrose be a heel because he reminds me so much of Heath Ledger's Joker. When he was a heel in the Shield, just the way he spoke was just very awesome. He was like, yeah, Punk, you think you're gonna win? Like when they did the whole angle with him and Punk, and when like just him speaking when he was in the Shield and he was a heel was awesome. You have so many guys coming in and whatnot. Like you have a lot of talent. You have Finn Balor and stuff, which I'm kind of personally worried on because if he goes in the main roster, I just hope that they don't drop him like how they dropped many people. But
He could be the future, bro.
he could be. But again, as you just said, the writers, man, how like can you change that? Can you? I don't think so, man. Like they're like as you said, they're too afraid to push the envelope, and there are a lot of indie guys that are getting signed, which is hey, good for them.
Are you kidding me? I just want to say, now that they're not looking for just bodybuilders, that gives you a chance because you have a much more of an athletic frame. You're not all roided up and shit, which is good. I don't know what gimmicks you take, bro, but you don't seem like somebody who gasses, and that's good because they're not looking for that as much as they used to.
No, absolutely not. And I do believe it's because of Triple H's scouting. I do believe he's the one
And
that's
Daniel
scouting.
Bryan. I think
Yeah,
Daniel Bryan helped a
absolutely.
lot.
And I was talking with a good friend of mine about this. We were talking about how WWE and NXT is gonna just go off the rail and try to kill off Ring of Honor this year, man. Because obviously with the whole beef that they have and just it's looking bad for Ring of Honor, dude.
Well, I hope not because, but if I know Ring of Honor used to be competitors with Gabe when he left and all that, if you
Yeah.
even want to call it that. But I certainly hope that doesn't happen because I mean they did an article on Ring of Honor on WWE.com. So I think Hunter, I think from everything I've read and seen, I think he really does want the business to thrive. And I think that he's much more open minded. That's one thing I like about the company is that they got with all due respect. They got Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, who are two fat guys. I don't want to insult them because they're
Yes.
two of my favorites, but they're
Yes.
two heavier guys getting pushes. AJ Styles, Alan Jones, who I never thought would be signed, too small. He's a spot monkey. That's what they said about him back in '01. He's signed now. One of the best wrestlers in the world. Shinsuke Nakamura. Like, this is real, like, I respect it. Like, I really like it. And there you go. I wanted to ask you, though, when did you realize you wanted to actually be a wrestler? Like, when did you, because you're in, like, you got in. When did you realize you wanted to actually do it and not just be a fan watching as, in the audience?
That's a good question. I would have to say it was WrestleMania when I watched WrestleMania. What was it? I think it was 16. I
That's
remember
not a
like
good show.
it was not. It was not. But leading into, I remember like closing out WrestleMania 16. I watched it with. I actually watched that by myself. The following year, right? I watched WrestleMania 17,
Now
which
that's a
was
good show.
that was like from 16 to 17. I realized like at that point, but I never knew essentially how to get into the business. I always assumed you just have to go to WWE and fill out like some application or some bullshit. I didn't know anything, so I was just like whatever. And essentially going through high school, I have gone down a road where I was affiliated with the wrong people. I was in gangs. I was fighting a lot. I always had that vision of I wanted to be a professional wrestler, but I was sidetracked with the the people that I was surrounding myself with. Like it was very bad, but essentially I never lost the vision of what I wanted to do. But like the way I got into the business was I remember I went to an indie show, and one of my friends told me about Hog, and he was like, "Hey, it's a House of Glory show, whatever. They have a school ran by Amazing Red." So I was like, "Whoa, okay." So I remember when I went, and I went in January of 2012. I
Wait.
remember I paid my you know my beginner's fee or whatever, and obviously paying your dues. And when I first started, I thought it was gonna be like all easy Joe, easy shit, but taking your first bump, running those ropes and getting whiplash and stuff, it was, man, it was brutal. And I remember like Red beat the fucking shit out of me like several times. We were in there with Chris Divine. We were in there with Quiet Storm. We
Oh,
were in there
Divine
with Jay
Storm.
Lethal. We were in there with Red. And it was like
Dunn
an
and
unreal
Marcos.
what was that?
Dunn and Marcos.
Wait, what?
Were you in there with Dunn and Marcos?
Oh, no, no, no,
I'm
no.
just thinking back to the guys from that era. And by the way, for those who don't know, I just want to say, Amazing Red. I mean, he hasn't been around, for a while as far as like big companies. But in 2002, 2003, 2004, Amazing Red was like like one of the hot commodities. Yo, Amazing Red actually is responsible for about 70% of a lot of the moves that you see
Oh, hell
guys
yeah.
doing. He invented a lot of these moves, man. I
Hell
just
yeah,
wanted to
dude.
say
Like,
that he's a brilliant. You got like training from a really good guy.
no, absolutely. And Red is an amazing person. Like this guy, I cannot take that for granted. He is an amazing person. No pun intended. He is a great person to be around. A great friend, a great trainer. But essentially, like you learn the good and the bad of the business. And the bad part of the business is the politics, man. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
People want to step on you. They want to destroy you just to be on top. And it's sad because we're all working together to be essentially at the same place one day. And I'll never forget, like, I was in the same locker room when we had Hog versus ROH. I was in the same locker room as Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kevin Steen, Jay Lethal, and here we are, about to perform with these guys, like during this angle where we had like Hog versus the ROH. And I never once would have thought in my life that, as you just said, Kevin Steen being fat and stuff, that he would be signed or whatever. Years
Never.
later, man,
Never.
here he is on TV. I used to share the same locker room as this guy, so I know in my mind, if he can make it, if anybody else out there who's striving to make it can actually make it, then I know I can as well. I mean, all you really have to have, and this applies to anything, man. This applies to being a YouTuber, a musician, a doctor, a NBA player, whatever the case may be. If you have that ambition, if you have that strive and that focus, and you're just bent on accomplishing your goals without worrying about the negative, you're gonna get there eventually. It's not gonna happen tomorrow. It's not gonna happen next year. And with wrestling, it's bound to happen at some point because obviously you have to pay your dues. Nothing's given to you unless, of course, you're Brock Lesnar and you just came off the NCAA's. But like nothing's ever handed to you. You have to work your ass off. And I respect Triple H so much for doing what he's doing now because he's grabbing so much talent from like so many different pools out there. I'm still shocked that people like Adam Cole, Zack Sabre Jr., some of these guys aren't signed with the company. I do believe they will be.
Cole was being looked at for a couple years there. It might only be a matter of time.
It might be a matter of time, and I do believe that he will go somewhere between either probably like by SummerSlam or by the end of the year. I hope so. But
Gargano's another one too. That's been
again, what worries me is that you have such great talent, but where do you put them? Like, where do you put them? Like, don't you think like sometimes they might get lost in the mix?
man.
Especially with the writers, dude.
I agree with the writers, but they got 5 hours of television. Okay, rather than do 30-minute promos, put them then during that time. That's the way I see it. Because I'll be honest, like people will criticize the 3 hours, and yes, 3 hours is long as hell on Raw, but those early like 2 or 3 nitros, 2 or 3 months of Nitro in '98 when they were 3 hours were so much fun because you had all this different talent. I mean, it was arguably the best roster in the history of the business. You had talent from the '80s. Mexico, Japan. So if they do that now and they fill like hour 1 with just crazy like young guys just being crazy, and then hour 2 with like maybe some foreigners, there's ways to do it, man. It's just that's not their style. That's not WWE style, and I'm hoping that Triple H will kind of open it up to make Raw more of like a wrestling, like an overall, not saying sports entertainment, but like an overall like a package of everything. Like you get a little bit of everything every week. They don't do that anymore, but I wish they would. You know, it's just
Yo, absolutely.
it could
And
be done.
sometimes watching Dragon Ball feels like you're watching a wrestling show because like there's so many
Very similar.
spots and stuff. Like I remember the recent episode with Sorby. I was like, yo, he just interfered and the referee's not even there to like it's just it's comical to me. But again, it's just like the businessman. There's pros, there's cons, and there was something that you even told me as well. Like they're following the same model as they did since '97, right?
Yeah, Raw is exactly the same format since like '97. Yeah, which I wish they would change because even though you know it's worked for them in the past, it's been how many years? I think it's time to change the format. I really do. Change everything about the show, the look, more diverse. You know, do promos in different places. I would like that, but I mean, I could talk about this, bro, for like 2 hours. I really like, or more than that. I could talk about this 4 or 5 hours. I'm gonna wrap it up here in a minute because the wrestling talk, bro, could go on even further because there's so many stuff to talk.
Yes,
Like,
it
I have a
can.
lot of questions for you about the business,
No problem, man.
but I wanted to wrap up because you know we'll probably revisit this in the future. I'm sure we will.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you what is the future right now. What are your plans for Unreal Gaming? Like, for example, if you get signed, let's just pretend that you know good things happen. You get signed by WWE. Is that the end of the channel, or will you change the channel, or what's the future? Okay, forget the signing. That's too far in that, too far ahead. Now, what's the future for Unreal Gaming? And if somebody is not subscribed to you and they're listening to this, why should they subscribe? I'm gonna give you a chance to cut a promo and sell it. So go.
Well, let me tell you something, Hogan. I'm just the thing about the future is this. I'm gonna continue to just provide as much entertainment, to provide as much updates and information to several things that as I possibly could. Again, going back to how I corrected my mistakes, looking into things more often, and just diving into the source of the matter and just seeing if it's correct or if it's not. The one thing I will say, if you're not subscribed to my channel, I would have to tell you guys to go on ahead and check it out. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I'm not one to just be like, you know, hey, you have to check it out. Otherwise, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to elbow drop you. No, it's just like, for me, the future is, and go back to what you just said. If by some chance I get signed, I don't plan on stopping at all. Like, perfect example, right? Xavier Woods, he's a wrestler, has a YouTube channel, up,
That's
up, down,
true.
down. He's going out there. He's doing all sorts of stuff with these guys. So if I ever had that opportunity or privilege to be alongside these men and women, I would definitely do the same thing. I would not stop YouTube because, again, YouTube has become a passion for me because I love to share my points of views on things because more often than not, I watch videos and I get their side of things. I get to see what, you know, they want to talk about and whatever. And I often want to express myself and I want to go on ahead and share my, you know, opinion or my point of view on things. So as for the channel, I don't ever plan on stopping it no matter what, unless, of course, God forbid something happens to me. But I don't ever, you know, plan on stopping doing what I love essentially. And like as for the future, I mean, again, it's just as long as I can provide, you know, good content for people to enjoy. If you're enjoying my content, if you love what I do, then that's all that really makes me happy. I mean, I don't ask for anything. I don't ask for no crazy amount of, like, you know, money or whatever. All I care about is if I entertained you, if I made you laugh, if I provided you with like some great content, then, you know, that makes me feel good because that just goes to show that, you know, you care and you're interested, and that, you know, motivates me to do more. So I want to apologize again to anybody out there who feels offended, or if I've misled, or if I, you know, hurt your feelings or anything like that. I do want to expressly apologize to you guys, and I do want to say I'm sorry. I also want to say people do make mistakes. We all have made mistakes. There's not one human being that has ever lived that has not made a mistake. And essentially, the truth is, we will often make more mistakes down the road. I mean, it's just how we are as humans. You can't really change that. We make mistakes doing several things all the time, but essentially, I will, you know, always try to correct those, and I will always try to be, you know, better at what I do for you guys. And I just want to thank you, Danny, for having me on here. We've spoken now for almost 2 hours, and we can talk for another two. But essentially, I want to say thank you for having me on here. Thank you for having me a chance to speak and inform those who have not, you know, heard my voice in a long time, or for those who have. And I want to say thank you for, you know, having me on the Icons of Dragon Ball, because I never would have even thought that I would be categorized and placed in that, you know, category of great people such as yourself, Dino, and various other people to come. And just I want to express my gratitude, and I want to say thank you, and thank you all for watching this video.
All right. I was gonna close it, but that's a better close than I have. Well, I have nothing else to say. I guess I'll catch you down the road.